From the Carnac Stones to Adam's Land Bridge, here are 10 most mysterious prehistoric sites. Number 10. The Carnac Stones. Many structures still on Earth exist from prehistoric times that often leave scholars scratching their heads. Questions like how did they build these massive structures, or what's the purpose of them? The stones here, found in the nearby village of Carnac, located in Brittany, date back to 4500 BC and is even referred to as France's Stonehenge. This is just an estimate and is quite difficult to know their true origins. There's 3,000 total standing stones, and it might even look like some type of graveyard from an aerial vantage point. It's even believed that these were constructed by pre-Celtic people living in modern-day France. Legends about this site state that the wizard Merlin turned Roman soldiers into stone when they were marching towards their settlement. It's hard to say exactly what these were used for. Some people believe that they have some type of astronomical significance, while others believe they were used for structures for storing sheep. Number 9. Adam's Land Bridge. This one you can easily take a look at for yourself on Google Maps. This mysterious land bridge between the subcontinent of India and the island of Sri Lanka almost seems to have been man-made. It appears as a little strange that random islands seem to pop up quite randomly, right in the middle of two landmasses. Some claim that the bridge was formed when Sri Lanka broke out from India, but others believe this is a man-made structure. There's really no geological formations around it to make you easily convinced that it's natural. It's about 35 kilometers long. Many believe that it was actually above sea level until the 15th century. In Hindu mythology, this bridge was built by things known as Vanara, which are described as ape people. This was made by a deity known as Rama in order to cross into Sri Lanka and to save his wife who was kidnapped. Many from India are fairly confident that this stretch of limestone shoals is no natural coincidence. The National Remote Sensing Agency says that it may have been man-made. If so, it would be the largest ancient bridge out there. Yonaguni Monument. Strange underwater rock formations were discovered in Japan in 1987 that appear to reveal very smooth and flat edges, almost as if they were man-made. What's even more interesting about this site is that geologists believe that this area of land would have been above ground about 8 to 10,000 years ago. This certainly helps support the theory that the smooth, flat edges are no strange coincidence. If it were actually constructed by humans, which people are still debating, it would be the oldest known structure on Earth. This would drastically change many theories about the first civilization being in Sumeria. People's minds would simply be blown and history books rewritten. Number 7. Gate of the Sun. Located near Lake Titicaca is a mysterious prehistoric gate that could date back to 14,000 BC. Prehistoric man seemed to be capable of some miraculous things from time to time, and it's believed that all three stones combined to weigh 10 tons total. This was considered to be the Gate of the Gods, and this structure predates any known civilization. There are various representations of different images sculpted into the top of the gate, which almost seems likely to appear as the sun god of this ancient kingdom. Others claim that the gate holds astronomical significance and it frames the sun on special days of the year during sunset. Many believe that to the west there's an ancient underwater city in Lake Titicaca after a few artifacts were discovered here. Could this gate lead to an advanced early civilization? We'll get to more about the site where this is located later on this video. Number 6. The Dolmen of the Caucasus. Giant cube-shaped structures found in the northern Caucasus Mountains in Russia and Georgia appear to date back to 4000 BC to 2000 BC. Most of the stone structures are made up of well-carved rectangular stones that seem to all fit in well together. Some of the structures can weigh about a total of 30 tons, meaning some serious effort went into building these. This dolmen found near the Seine River even has a circle fit into it, which may seem to have been used to keep an eye out on what's going on outside. These would have proven to be extremely sturdy structures and were quite advanced for this prehistoric group of people. Although the architecture was fairly simple, you can imagine that they're pretty strong. Some people believe that they could have been used as vaults in order to store valuable resources such as gold and jewelry. There might have even been some kind of underground tunnel system in order to get inside of these. Number 5. Barnone, France. Another prehistoric monument constructed in Brittany in France. This is considered to be the oldest megalithic monument in Europe and in all the world. That's been confirmed. Radiocarbon dating seems to prove evidence that this actually dates back to 4850 BC. The site was excavated between 1954 and 1968. While the stones aren't quite as large as some of the other ones we've mentioned, it's still standing today and it's older than the pyramids of Giza by at least 2,000 years. This is quite impressive. It reaches about 29 feet tall, containing 6 chambers. Some of the chambers contain ancient pots, stone axes, and arrowheads. Some believe it might have been some type of funerary structure, giving it the nickname as the Prehistoric Parthenon. Number 4. The Upington White Horse. This stylized white chalk geoglyph is found in the United Kingdom in the county of Oxfordshire. Trenches were dug up by prehistoric people and they filled it up with crushed white chalk, creating this white horse you see here. This was made in what's considered to be late prehistory during the Bronze Age around 800 BC. It seems to be a mix of Celtic art, but also similar to some cave paintings in Lascaux, France. It's hard to tell without a doubt what animal it is for sure, but some believe it might represent some type of saber-toothed cat. Late prehistoric geoglyphs like this have inspired some hoaxes as well, such as the Cern Abyss Giant. People thought this was actually real for hundreds of years, but it turns out it was just a giant prank on archaeologists. Real funny. Number 3. Penn Tryphon. The best preserved dolmen in Wales and the oldest in the UK is the Penn Tryphon that we see here. The massive stones seem pretty well balanced, and it also seems to frame the horizon as well. It was originally determined that this would be used as some type of communal burial ground, which would have been covered by smaller stones, and parts of these stones would have acted as the entrance into the burial pit like we see in this theoretical model. Other archaeologists believe that these stones were used just to show off their building talents and were never used for anything in particular. It's believed that this prehistoric building operation took place in 3500 BC, which predates Stonehenge by at least 400 years. No traces of bones were found near the burial chamber, suggesting it may have been some kind of ancient artwork, but it remains mysterious nonetheless. Number 2. The Unfinished Obelisk. We've already mentioned a few times how the pyramids in ancient Egypt are quite mysterious, but what about this unfinished structure in Egypt that was discovered in 2005? This was ordered to be built by Queen Hatshepsut during the 15th century BC. Although this seems pretty new compared to some of the other ones on this list, this was still before metal tools even existed. How were they able to carve such massive pieces of stone like this anyways? Many believe that harder stones or even wooden tools were used in order to chip away at the limestone here. Located at the Aswan Ancient Quarry, this was also the same place where they got stone for the pyramids. If it were ever lifted from the ground, it would be the tallest obelisk ever, weighing roughly 1,168 tons. And number 1. Tiahuanaco. We showed you the Gate of the Sun already, but this is only one part of a crazy archaeological dig site that's driving people to madness. If you thought the gate was already strange, we got more where that came from. The inhabitants had no written language, and all that's left of these people are the stones. Many are willing to argue that this is the cradle of civilization and not Mesopotamia. The stones are cut with such extreme precision that some are willing to believe that aliens must have created this. In addition to the Gate of the Sun, there's also the Gate of the Moon. This photo here shows you the extreme precision and symmetry of everything constructed here, suggesting an advanced civilization. Could aliens have really built this thing? If this city was built some 17,000 years ago, which some people believe, it was way before any city was developed by at least 10,000 years. However, mainstream archaeologists will tell you it dates back to only 1000 to 1500 BC.